Hey guys, I am flying solo here today with a couple of quick stories.
Hey, it's Tim Miller. After spending 2 decades as a photojournalist in the Navy Reserve, capturing and sharing incredible stories, I've harnessed my passion for storytelling for something truly cool. Join us as we interview amazing entrepreneurs, including veterans, while sharing captivating stories and having a great time along the way.
I am flying solo today, and I thought I'd get some fun stories out to give you all a glimpse of Navy life as a photojournalist. I was called a mass communication specialist, although I prefer a mass communication expert. I tell people outside of the Navy that it was a photojournalism. And we are responsible for visual information, photos, videos, anything visual, printed media, as well as copywriting as it relates to public affairs, media, getting stories out, that sort of thing. And then public relations or public affairs, which is having relationships with media, government agencies, and even community relations. So that was kind of what a mass communication specialist does in the Navy. And, you know, I'm always open to be corrected. So let me know in the comments if I need to be corrected. 10 years ago, I was in Malaysia covering an exercise called CARAT, C-A-R-A-T, which stood for Cooperation Afloat, Readiness, and Training. An exercise that the Navy is still doing. I think they've been doing it for over 30 years with, I believe, 9 other countries, and including Malaysia. This is where I was. And a lot of times what they did back then is they needed to cover the story or the stories, whatever's going on, but they couldn't take somebody out of an active duty component because that would mess up everything that they had going on. So they would pull a reservist in, which is great. It was a win-win for everybody. And this particular time, I went out to Malaysia. With this CARAT exercise, they were sharing tactics, basically, sharing tactics and expertise in multiple disciplines. For instance, EOD guys. EOD stands for Explosive Ordnance Disposal. Guys from our country would blow stuff up with guys from their country. Or medical. We'd share medical expertise with one another. Or aviation or tactical stuff like VBSS, Visit, Board, Search, and Seizure. And I'll talk about that in a second. So anyways, it's a very cool exercise to be able to share experiences with people from another country and you know, glean insights both ways. So what I was doing was I was just covering everything, telling stories, shooting video, and imagery. This one particular time, though, I went to a ship that the Malaysian, I'm trying to pull this up real quickly. That is a cutter that the Royal Malaysian Navy had just purchased from the Coast Guard. And they were pretty excited about it. It was a new to them ship. What we were doing was we were aboard that ship doing all kinds of stuff. And I was taking photos of, so there's one of our officers sharing information with one of the Royal Malaysian officers inside of I think that's an MH-60 helicopter, which is a really, really big helicopter, which a lot of people can get in the back. They were just talking about cool stuff, tactics. And then this is kind of an interesting photo. The reason I'm sharing this is because there's a fun story behind it. There's two interesting factors about this photo. One is the lady in the middle. She is actually I believe she is a mechanical officer, and I may fudge that a little bit. She's an officer in the Royal Malaysian Navy, which is kind of a big deal. Back then, this is 10 years ago, there weren't a lot of females in aviation in our Navy. This was kind of a big deal. So this is cutting edge for her. Plus, it's a Muslim nation. What was interesting is this is what we call a grip and grin shot, where we just shoot the picture and everybody smiles. And I was shooting photos because of my uniform at the time. I was wearing this is what we call blueberries or digi blues. Every other command that I was with did not wear this uniform. Like all the EOD guys, they wore khaki or brown shirts. All these aviation guys, they either wore coveralls or blue or brown coveralls. I was just there taking photos. I was a guy with a camera. So she thought, along with the 2 officers, they said, "Oh no, we want you in the shot too." So I became the most interesting man. Interesting situation. Now here's what happened. I thought I was really kind of a badass. I thought I was pretty cool. Following these guys around, shooting photos. I'd given my camera to another guy to take the photo. Right after this shot, I went to go grab my camera back, and they were going to shoot more photos and different pictures. Well, I grabbed the camera and I turned around and the camera fell on the deck, and it fell hard. And not only did I crack the filter, like spiderweb crack, couldn't even use it, but I bent the filter badly. So I couldn't even pull the filter off and just use the camera without the filter. And so all these people were expecting me to take more photos and I couldn't do it. Good story. I had to humble myself. So I thought I was all that. On that same ship, I believe the same day or the next day, we were helping these guys do what we call Visit Board Search and Seizure, VBSS. I was on a little boat called a RIB, R-H-I-B, Rigid Hull Inflatable Boat. And it's got inflatable sides so you can kind of slide up next to another boat or another ship. We were teaching them the basics of VBSS. We had a whole crew that were specialists in Visit Board Search and Seizure, which is where you come alongside another ship and you overtake it. So this is especially useful in like terrorist situations or pirating situations. We want to search, we want to board a boat, right? Again, I thought I was all that, and they were talking about me, and I was also doing CrossFit at the time, so I felt pretty masculine. We were all getting ready to kind of finish up and go do lunch, but we were in the boat. Half of us were in the boat, and the other half were on top. They didn't use a ladder. Normally, I think our U.S. guys use a pole, different apparatuses. So sometimes there's a telescoping pole, and let me go full screen. There's a telescoping pole, which has got a hook on it, which goes all the way up, hooks on, and it has ladder rungs out the sides. So you just climb up the ladder and you board, and then you do your search and seizure. This time, these guys had a net rope, right? So kind of like what you see in jungle gyms and play gyms. And these guys all boarded. They all climbed up the rope, and I was one of the last ones. There's a couple of guys in the boat after me. And I was thinking, man, you know what? I'm doing CrossFit. I'm really tough. So I flung my camera around my back, and I went up that thing so fast, and I heard the guys talking about me, and I was thinking, man, they must think I'm really all that. And I got to the top, and one of the guys puts his arm around me and says, "Mr. Tim, good. You climb like baby." So they were all making fun of me, basically. Way to humble yourself, Tim. It was kind of cool because I went into the galley later on with those guys and scrolled through all the photos, so it's kind of sort of indicated. Anyways, don't forget to humble yourself. Peace out.